Where are the people that Stephen A? She not gonna do that. Let her cook. I want to know what y'all think.
Following the rumors about Caitlyn Clark in Europe, ESPN is having a complete meltdown. Caitlyn Clark may be traveling to Europe, and it appears that ESPN is beginning to regret how they treated her throughout the entire season. ESPN used to be the place to watch Caitlyn Clark be devalued and underappreciated. They never respected her, and now they believe they have the power to decide whether or not Caitlyn travels to Europe.
Okay, now we just have to have people because of marketing and their intention, and they're not as talented. We're not putting the best team out.
Molly Karam, an ESPN analyst, essentially refused to give Caitlyn credit for the entire year, claiming that she was making fun of the sport. How could she say that without laughing? Caitlyn Clark transformed the sport and sparked conversation.
Versus Caitlyn Clark. And that is just absolutely false. It is unfair to the women that have been there building this league to this moment so that Caitlyn Clark's popularity could take it.
Another analyst denied that Caitlyn Clark was being targeted by players. She was the most fouled player of the season, and at one point she even had a black eye. Hopefully, Caitlyn can utilize her time off to look into opportunities in Europe that would synchronize ESPN and the WNBA, leaving them with nothing to discuss.
Making a basketball argument.
We're not saying No, Andrea, I'm not going to let you do that.
Go ahead,
Andrea, I'm not going to let you make it seem like Caitlyn Clark was averaging 5 points a game. At the time, she was still averaging 16 points a game, which was more than a lot of other guards that made the team. So don't do that. Don't make it seem like she was averaging 5 points and this was like a handout.
The heat that Caitlyn brings seems to be too much for ESPN and its analysts to handle, especially now that there are rumors that she may relocate to Europe rather than pursue a career in the WNBA. ESPN has spent the entire season disparaging and undermining Caitlyn, frequently downplaying her accomplishments while favoring others. Now, they are confronting the very real possibility that the player they have consistently denigrated may leave the spotlight in America and take her talents overseas. It should come as no surprise that they are panicking, knowing full well that losing Caitlyn would be a significant blow to their viewership and content.
It was felt every place she goes, every arena she goes. TV, ratings, value.
For months, ESPN has been downplaying Caitlyn's abilities and drawing comparisons between her and Angel Reese, another rising star in women's basketball. From the beginning of the season, ESPN promoted the narrative that Angel Reese was having a better season and Caitlyn Clark, despite her undeniable star power, was somehow failing to live up to the enormous expectations placed on her after her record-breaking college career at Iowa. The comparison seemed endless, with ESPN analysts like Molly Karam and Monica McNutt fueling the fire by questioning Caitlyn's place among the league's top players.
Response of folks that don't think she is praised enough and she is above reproach in terms of criticism, or that praising another player is an affront to her is like, whoa, bro. You're in my mentions talking about women's basketball. I've never ever seen you before in my life.
The harsh criticism felt intentional, almost as if ESPN had made it their mission to undermine Caitlyn's success by consistently placing her in the shadow of her peers rather than acknowledging her contributions to the game. However, this is where the karma comes in. ESPN is now terrified that if Caitlyn Clark moves to Europe, they won't be able to talk about her anymore. That's right. The same player they denigrated throughout the season for not being a true star might pack up her enormous fan base with her. ESPN presented Caitlyn as only valued because of her ability to attract viewers, claiming that she wasn't really a star on the court but rather the result of media hype. However, with a very real chance of her departure approaching, they are now frantically trying to change that narrative.
We're right. That's what we're saying. You
no,
were right.
Molly, you did not say that, Molly.
I'm saying it.
That is what you said.
You did not. That's not what you said, Molly.
What are you guys?
They've come to understand that Caitlyn is much more than just a player. They've created whole narratives and conversations around her presence. Losing her to Europe would not only affect ESPN's programming, but it might also send shockwaves through the WNBA, both of which greatly depended on her appeal to boost viewership and engagement. Take a look at how their perspectives have shifted.
I'd love for the WNBA to make voting not anonymous. Because if you were the person that had that one vote, you should just be able to stand on it, and we should know who you are. In the NBA, voting is not anonymous. Yeah. So I would love for the WNBA to make the voting so we see who put the votes where.
Throughout the season, Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharpe were among the few voices that consistently defended Caitlyn Clark, reminding viewers of her undeniable greatness on the court. Both Smith and Sharpe acknowledged that Caitlyn was being unfairly targeted by both ESPN and WNBA players, primarily because of her rookie status and the enormous amount of attention she received during her time in college. They contended that the scrutiny she faced was excessive and that she had already established herself as one of the game. Despite their support, Caitlyn continued to receive harsh criticism from other ESPN analysts, especially Molly Karam and Monica McNutt. Caitlyn was constantly criticized by PN analysts and WNBA players, who saw her as the league's newest high-profile rookie who needed to be humbled and put in her place. Despite the intense criticism and targeting, Caitlyn rose above the noise and proved her doubters wrong, delivering one of the most amazing rookie seasons the WNBA has ever seen. Her elite play and resilience shone through, helping turn around the Indiana Fever's fortunes and solidifying her place among the game's brightest young stars.
Have 2 All-Stars in their starting lineup. They also have the reigning Rookie of the Year. Chicago has none of that. So the lift for Angel Reese has been...
In charge of the Indiana Fever, it was no minor accomplishment for a team that had spent years near the bottom of the WNBA to earn their first postseason position in what felt like forever. Not only did Caitlyn Clark make it through her freshman season, but she also flourished, putting on performances that silenced even her most critical detractors. She was under tremendous pressure to produce every single week, yet her poise and brilliance on the court were nothing short of amazing. She raised a team that many had written off, demonstrating her leadership and unparalleled talent.
Her stats are today, what?
20 points, 8.4 assists, 6 rebounds.
That's crazy.
But 5
crazy.
5.6 turnovers.
Those are hell of a number.
Those are hell of a numbers.
But to me, that's...
However, despite these achievements, ESPN was unable to change their narrative until the end of the season, when Caitlyn's dominance could no longer be disregarded. At that point, they started to recognize Caitlyn's brilliance, almost as if they had been supporting her the entire time. It was almost comical how quickly ESPN changed course and praised Caitlyn as the star they had spent the majority of the season disparaging.
Stop being petty. Stop being catty, because she like a double-edged sword. She couldn't tell left and right, and it's bothering y'all, and I see it. Let's go, Caitlyn. Hey, do me a favor, CC. Send your favorite uncle a jersey with your autograph.
But here's the problem. Caitlyn didn't need ESPN's approval since she had previously shown everyone wrong during a season when she was expected to struggle and was continuously singled out by players and commentators who said she wasn't ready for the limelight. Despite the criticism, Caitlyn Clark performed in a way that nobody anticipated, making her the standout player of her rookie class. Given the stress, pressure, and targeting she has received from the league and ESPN, it would almost seem reasonable for Caitlyn to think about relocating to Europe. This would send a strong message to ESPN and the WBA about what they would be missing if they continued to undervalue one of their best players.
Day viewership, which is up 400% to 40%. Between ticket sales, which is up 93% to 16%. Between regular game viewership, which is up 180% to 20%. What Caitlyn Clark has done is grown the WNBA exponentially. She did in 5 weeks what would have taken 5 years. And as it pertains to draft viewership, she did in...
ESPN and the WNBA will be solely to blame if Caitlyn Clark decides to take her talents abroad. They had every chance to support one of the best young players in the league, but instead they chose to disparage her, minimize her achievements, and lessen her influence on the league. Caitlyn's electric play and unquestionable charisma were a major factor in the league's recent increase in viewership. Without her, the league's ratings would undoubtedly suffer greatly. It's important to remember that celebrities like Caitlyn don't just draw in casual viewers. They also bring with them a devoted, passionate fan base that follows them everywhere. If she decides to leave, her fans will follow her to Europe, and the WNBA may find it difficult to sustain the momentum it had worked so hard to create.
Most watched WNBA finals game ever. You know why? Because I've been telling you about the Caitlyn Clark impact. It's nice to see something other than Caitlyn Clark having a profound...
Not only would the WNBA suffer from Caitlyn's departure, but ESPN would also be severely impacted. The network thrives on telling stories about famous athletes, and Caitlyn Clark has been one of their most talked about players for the entire season. While they may have occasionally disparaged and minimized her accomplishments, there's no denying that Caitlyn was a frequent topic of discussion on practically